Hercule's got a hankering for some Jimmy Johns, and saving the world, and finding my wife.
Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now you might have been able to tell that despite the name change for this what if, it is still very much like the April Fool idea we had in mind back all those months ago. This story has become one of those ones I look to and think, yeah, I can't wait to write the next part of that little chestnut. Now some of my stories are trickier to write or are less inspiring to me, but I make them work because it's a challenge. And like the character I voice in DBZA, I never back down from a challenge. This one isn't a challenge though. Toriyama, back in the day, could have written this into the story had he had a different synaptic response fire off in his brain. Then again, this being an April Fool what if, that might have been a bit of a stretch, but you know, it's pretty fun to think about, so let's roll with it. This year, my story was focusing on a character which has a huge following, and may seem to be one of those guys who doesn't really deserve it, but he actually does. He is the only character to have never succumbed in the entire series, and yes, I know the whole Frieza Resurrection F thing, what he did was something that happened, but since Whis rewound time, it doesn't really count, and without his input, Gohan may never have become Super Saiyan 2, and Cell may have won against our heroes because of the child's lack of chutzpah. Hercule is a pretty cool guy, all things considering. Sure, he may bluster around a lot, but deep down, he has a lot of good intentions. Now, imagine a story where we could really emphasize those traits and lessen the bluster to levels which are far more manageable. We would have a character who was pretty great, and all it took was the idea for him to find Goku, or whoever trained him, and better himself to get revenge from his master. What if Hercule trained like Goku? Now let's address the elephant in the room here. Why am I saying Hercule? Well, hashtag YT being YT, that's what it is. So yeah, sticking to the English name for this one, but the character, you know, he's pretty much all the same. Like I said in the previous chapter, this tale had us using the supplemental information given by Toriyama years after Z ended, where we found out that Hercule's master at the Satan Dojo was felled by mercenary Tao. Hercule vowed revenge and tried to find Goku to train him up, but instead got Goku's master, Roshi, otherwise known as Jackie Chun, the guy who won the 21st tournament. That's good enough in Hercule's book, he'll take that. Over the course of that initial outing, Krillin aided our champ's journey, and we got to see him realize his goal and become the master of the Satan Castle Dojo, the true champ. Such a fulfilling plot, isn't it? In the last part, Hercule had to deal with the ramifications of his actions upon Raditz, which saw the Saiyan literally lose his head at the foot of the Dragon Team member, and the big guy couldn't handle it. So in order to build up his resolve, if he was going to be taking part of the front end of Earth's defense, Kami insisted that Hercule go up to the lookout and gave him some personal training and fortitude for the noggin so that he can better cope with all of this stuff happening so fast. All of this then leads to him, Goku and Krillin going to the other world and being trained by the likes of King Kai, with Kami and Piccolo training up Yamcha, Tenshinhan and Chaozu on Earth. And as for Gohan, well, he's not been caught in the middle of all of this, and so now he gets to live out his days, as a kid, with Videl being babysat by Chi-Chi. So the rage boost thing that he hasn't been discovered yet. We now continue with part 4. Hercule had been slacking with his training, but King Kai knew how to get to the big guy, make him cooperate and all that, and it involved him offering the guy a chance to see his wife one more time in the flesh. Or whatever you could call flesh in the other world. Migeru, or Miguel in the dub, had passed from natural causes over 7 years ago, and so couldn't be brought back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls, but we all know the best way to do it, going forward, but King Kai promises to make it happen, right after he and the others get on with their training, that is. So as a result, Hercule really puts his back into it, and trains harder than Krillin, and even surprises Goku with how much he was going for it. Every waking moment possible, Hercule was fixated on his goal. If he can get strong enough, and they can beat those Saiyan jerks, he will get to see his wife again.
Don't worry, Miguel. I'm coming for you.
King Kai really takes to Hercule.
You know what? I actually like that guy.
Goku, thanks to his Saiyan physiology, is able to push Kaioken further than the two humans, but thanks to his newfound fervor, Hercule can not only do Kaioken times 2, but just about handle Kaioken times 3 thanks to his bulkier size, with his body now pretty much resembling the mass that he had from the Cell games. King Kai is concerned with Hercule pushing too hard and warns him to not use times 3 Kaioken unless there is no other option, or else he will get to meet his wife, yeah, but not in the way that would work well for anyone else, especially the Earth. As for Piccolo and Kami, they have spent several weeks in each other's company, and it was initially a very frustrating affair. Kami and Piccolo spent many nights bickering internally so as to not compromise the morale of the 3 people that they were training up. That being said, in a time of crisis such as this, the 2 Namekians are calming down their feud. In fact, they actually talk about maybe joining forces and maybe becoming the Guardians of Earth together, effectively becoming a nameless Namekian, but they don't know about that part yet because they don't know about fusion. Kami appreciates this gesture, but he points out that Piccolo's not really cut out for this kind of thing. And then Piccolo says, well, okay, you don't have to be the Guardian anymore. But then Kami says, well, what about the Dragon Balls? And who's going to be a replacement for him? Who could be possibly an option? Well, Tenshin Han perhaps? He seems pretty level-headed. But either way, their main priority right now is to ensure that Earth is still around for anyone, whoever it is, to become a Guardian. Now over time though, this idea cools off, and the Earth team are progressing a little faster than in the original with the inclusion of Piccolo. The time comes. Kami has been keeping an eye on the Saiyans and has been talking to King Kai about when the time is right for getting the gang back in time. Piccolo taking charge has certainly helped. Now in terms of power, the gang are all around about 50% stronger than they were in the original timeline, down to the fact that Piccolo was extremely intense in his training like he was with Gohan in the original timeline. Somehow getting that kid up from almost nothing to 1,000 in less than a year? This means that the gang are now well into the 2000s, and Piccolo, well, I mean, he could take on Nappa pretty well. The Earthlings and the Otherworld gang meet up at the lookout when Kami brings them back, all 3 being able to fly their way back from, Snake Way back to the check-in station. That's right, Hercule figured it out. I mean, if Adele could, he could. Hercule and Krillin have gotten much stronger and really flourished with the 10 times Earth gravity, and as a result, their powers are around about 5,000, with Goku being, well, you know what he is around this point of the story. The gang can then sense the 2 Saiyans in the atmosphere and decide to head them off at the pass. Kami then recommends that Tenshin Han, Yamcha and Chiaotzu hang back a little bit. Their powers have improved, but not to the level of the others or Piccolo. They can jump in just in case something happens if they get swamped, which as we know, does happen. When Vegeta and Nappa land in the city and cause a crater, they emerge and spot the human populace surrounding the rock feature that they had just created. The 2 smirk and are about to let loose their tirade on the planet when Goku shouts up from up top, "I wouldn't do that if I were you, Saiyans!" This catches Nappa's attention.
Ah, Vegeta, look! Looks like somebody found out we were coming. No matter, their power isn't anything to write home about. Just a paltry 1,000. Nappa, ignore them and proceed with sending this Earth a message.
Nappa is about to fire a mouth blast in the direction of a crowd of scared onlookers, but then Hercule zooms up to him and grabs his waist, lifting the Saiyan up into the air and sending the mouth blast skywards.
You ain't gonna ruin any more lives, Saiyans! We're here to stop you.
Before Nappa can respond, Hercule powers up and sends a flying kick towards Krillin, who then launches a flurry of blows, which catches Nappa off guard again. Goku is impressed with how these 2 are working together. They really are in sync, despite their size difference. Now as that's going on, and Nappa is being pummeled by Krillin and Hercule, Vegeta turns to Piccolo and Goku, and begins to strike some sort of conversation, as the bystanders disperse and, evacuating.
Tell me, how did you know we were coming? I don't recall Raditz saying anything before you iced him.
Goku looks serious and states that it's not important. What is important though, is that these 2 leave Earth immediately and never return. He's giving them one warning, as he so often does in situations like this. Vegeta just laughs this off and tells Nappa to get serious, but the larger of the 2 Saiyans is kinda busy fending off those 2 punks. When Nappa does get a chance to hide, he plants his secret weapon to offer himself some cover, his Cybermen, will wear them down, and when they're too distracted and they're weaker than they were before, he can come right back in and waste them. The 6 Cybermen he had time to plant emerge, and he tells them to take out anything in their path, which they do gladly, including unsuspecting civilians. Hercule and Krillin are trying to sense Nappa, but suddenly 6 powers are coming their way, as are screams from random people, which really affects Hercule. But he has to stand up and stand his ground. Tenshinhan, Yamcha and Chaozu then decide to join in after sensing these extra powers, with the former stating that they were actually getting kinda bored just watching this cakewalk. And this angers Vegeta, but he is still assured that he will win with or without Nappa or his little pods. He lets this happen. But even he is surprised when the Cybermen are quickly picked off by everyone except Goku, who is busy off searching for Nappa. Now Vegeta does think about intervening for a brief second, but he feels Nappa is still capable of besting these twerps. I mean, after all, these guys are barely stronger than Cybermen. Right? Nappa can see his creations dropping like flies, one by one, but soon he drops too, as Goku powers up to 8,000 right behind him and slams him through some rubble. Vegeta is caught off guard by this power-up and starts to sweat a little bit. But then Goku delivers a broken Nappa to Vegeta, like in the original, and then the prince sends his servant packing. So now, it's 7 versus 1, with Hercule looking pretty smug.
Ha ha! You see, Saiyan? You're no match for us. So why don't you just take your tiny little butt back to your even tinier pod and hightail it out of here?
Vegeta is getting angry.
You're talking way too much, human. You're far too weak to even be a threat to me.
Goku, Hercule and Krillin look at each other, and they all shout Kaioken at the same time, and their powers immediately double. Vegeta can see these 3 powers surge past 10,000. Uh-oh. It might be time to split and get mixed. Without further ado, Vegeta launches a white orb into the sky, and he then is really getting huge. Goku recognizes this as a great ape, and tells the gang that he is going to end up being 10 times stronger now than before. Goku then starts to sweat as well, but then regains his composure, and then just disappears without warning. The 4 Earthling trainers are stunned to see Goku just run away like this, but Hercule and Krillin know what he's up to, and instead choose not to tell the others, and instead Hercule just blusters like he does.
I guess Goku got scared. I knew I was the bravest one here.
Big guy? You might want to focus on the even bigger guy up top. Vegeta's foot is about to stomp on the group, which proceed to scatter. For a while, the 4 Earthling fighters are simply trying to stay out of the way of Vegeta's limbs, and Hercule and Krillin are powering up as much as they can to Kaioken, and starting to slowly whittle away at Vegeta's overall power, their smaller size getting the monkey quite angry. However, sadly, Chaozu is unable to get out of the way in time, and in one move, he is squished by Vegeta. Tenshinhan is stunned by this, and is distracted to the point where Vegeta's tail catches a direct landing on Tenshinhan, and he is sent flying into rubble, which is more than enough to send him as well to the Otherworld check-in station. Piccolo and Yamcha are getting furious. Goku could have helped them, and instead he just abandoned them. Even Krillin and Hercule are actually getting kinda nervous. Do they tell them what he's doing or not? Their answer comes very soon after, when they can spot a shining ball of energy coming from a pile of glass near Hercule's feet. He looks at it and can see a growing ball of energy. That must be the Genki Dama.
Krillin, put your hands in the air!
Krillin then tells the other 2 to do the same, but they're not listening, and this distraction in fact sees Vegeta get angry still and fire a mouth beam at the 4 of them, with Hercule dispersing and Krillin just about pushing the other 2 out of the way, from getting a full mouth blast in the face. Hercule then resumes his position and powers up to Kaioken times 3. With Vegeta sans his scouter, he can't tell what Hercule is doing, but this pumped up ki is really sensed by Goku, who to himself thanks Hercule for the boost. Thanks to that, it's ready, and Goku then sends the ball hurling towards Vegeta, who is sensing the air getting hotter and hotter. Hercule then leaps up and flies to Vegeta's face and begins to smack talk the prince, keeping him in the same spot, distracting him, with Hercule ever vigilant for the ball, just constantly looking in again, but stays in place. Krillin shouts for Hercule to get out of the way, but Hercule tells him to shut up. Now, if his idea is correct and he remembers this from Kinkai's training, he should be fine. Vegeta then grabs Hercule and is crushing him, but then stops and can feel the energy of the Genki Dama right behind him. There is now no time to move. It connects, and the monkey is vaporized, with Hercule caught inside of it, him just simply smiling as it engulfs him. Now, everyone thinks that Hercule is gone, but when the light dissipates, the only thing that is gone are Hercule's clothes. He was left intact thanks to him and his pure heart. Blushing profusely, Goku comes down to him and is amazed that he actually remembered what Kinkai had taught him. But then Hercule boldly says that Kinkai is a pretty wise guy. Once Hercule is able to find some clothes, Kinkai tells him to head towards Fortune Teller Barber's place. He is keeping his end of the bargain after all. Confused as to what this is all about, Goku has an idea. He and the Saiyan arrive, and out from Barber's place steps Miguel. Hercule drops to his knees and then proceeds to cry. Miguel just walks up to him and wipes away his tears.
Miguel, is that really you?
She silently nods, and they embrace. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? Is that a fitting end to Hercule's conquering of his fear? What else could he master now he's gotten the handle of things, regarding his energy? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!